Step into the paranormal with Ernie Atwell and David Seiler, brought to you by Paranormal Inc., right here on WLFE DB Radio.
What's up, y'all? It is Saturday, Sunday, whatever day we're at.
Sunday, December 19th. And we come to the close of another year as far as our episodes.
Hell yeah.
This will be the last one until 2022.
So we decided rather than to have a guest on, kind of cover everything, all the goods and bads, all the happies and sads of 2021.
It's been an eventful year.
It's been a hell of an eventful year.
To say the least. I mean, a lot of good times. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of bad times.
Well, first of all, let me apologize. We have not been on the air in probably over a month now, and it's my fault. I contracted COVID, and I'm just getting back to somewhat of a normalcy. For those of you that have had COVID, God bless you. This one, I didn't get a fever. I didn't get a loss of smell. I got sticky chest, and even you'll hear me coughing a lot. I apologize. I'm still very, very, very sticky in the chest. The good news is this is the year that Dave quit smoking. I am been smoke free for 30 days now.
Good.
So have not had a cigarette in over 30 days, and I'm not cheating, nothing.
Now the show that we canceled when you got sick, we're going to reschedule for 2022 because that was the episode that we had Brad and Barry Kling from the show Ghost Lab.
Guys, if you're watching, I apologize.
Yeah, so I've already spoken, and I've already spoken to Barry, and we're going to get them back on. We've got. I'm not going to give away everybody's name, but so far for 2022, I got 5 amazing guests lined up.
Yeah, we'll get some of that at the end, but we've got something coming up. We're not going to announce yet.
Yeah, we can't
until we. But
confirm. This
is going to blow your mind.
Yeah.
He told me yesterday, and I hung with my mouth open for about 10 minutes?
It's we're working on it now, and hopefully it works out.
So, Mr. Connections over here with one of the beautiful ladies who I think is in the room. I'm not sure if she's here yet, Lorem, but she's amazing. So
yeah, it's that we're working on something for an upcoming episode that she got the ball rolling.
Yeah, she got it rolling. Boy, it just
we can't even begin to
fathom.
But I just wanted to say, Lisa, before we get into all the fun stuff and good stuff, this has been a very trying year. I thought that
my boy Brand is here.
I thought that 2020 was bad, and this year
this year just won't go away. It's like the plague, man.
Yeah, and the fortunate thing, I feel 2021 went by quick.
It did.
I mean, it was like, I think it was just because everyone was so stressed out, and it just flew by.
It did.
It did. And sadly, since October, we've dealt with 4 deaths just since October.
I had one just the other day.
Well, yeah, you're not too good with coffee pots.
My Mr. Coffee died. It died hard.
He had an episode with a coffee pot last night at our event. I'll let him tell you about in a minute. But we had, my family and I, we went through 4 deaths just in 2 months. It was so, we had the big show at the Roundhouse back in October. And I got there on a Thursday night. Friday morning, I got up and I turned my phone on. I was going crazy. And I'm like, what the heck? And a really good friend of mine, man, we go back almost 20 years, suddenly passed away from a heart attack.
Oh, wow.
And, man, and then just, about 3 weeks ago, for those that read my book, I spoke briefly about my aunt in the book. She passed away a few days before her birthday in November. And then just not even 3 weeks ago, on December 1st, another friend I wrote about in my book passed away of a heart attack, and he was a year younger than me. And later that day, we got a call from my wife's family. Her sister passed away. And this is all in a 2-month period, man.
People
It's
dropping
just,
like flies, man.
I don't even know what to say. I'm looking forward to 2022, man.
Amen.
Try to get it.
We only got a couple weeks left, man.
Get off on a positive. There's a lot of good stuff coming up in 2022. I think the stress and the heartache of everything bad kicked everybody in the overdrive in the paranormal world, because there's so much good stuff coming up that we'll get into later. And so Dave, tell them about your second incident with a coffee pot last night.
Well, let's start with the first one. I woke up, and everybody knows me. I'm a coffee guy. My mug is literally this big by that round. If y'all look up what's called a Bubba keg, that's my coffee cup. I do one of those a day. It's a full pot of coffee. And I go from a extreme hot coffee all the way to cool coffee. I sip on it all day. Well, I got up 5 o'clock in the morning, went to make my coffee at 5:30, and it went and smoke. I'm like, oh, come on. So I unplug it, boil water, because I already have it set up, and I'm literally pouring water through the top to get my damn coffee. Got my coffee. I buried it in the trash can a few minutes later. We're done. So I called Amazon, etc. So got my new coffee maker. It works great. Last night, we're over at Essex Police and Fire Museum, the Heritage Museum, and the people who run the place are trying to get it set up and won't turn on. Now, I'm the coffee guy. I get over, or actually, my boss Tony is over there, and he tries to get it.
Now, granted, Dave is a computer genius. Tony is an experimental physicist.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're wrestling with this coffee
pot. It
pot.
Won't turn on. We're checking the plug. We're checking the buttons. It will not turn on. And he's starting to give me grief from behind my shoulder. And he's like, hey, Dave, all this. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $20. You come over here and turn it on within a minute. He walks over and goes, click, pay me. You son of a...
I didn't keep the money.
He gave it back to my daughter, who won't give it back to me. But smart kid. But he did. He just click.
Oh, man.
Anyhow. So, yeah, we've had a lot of good things happen this year.
This has been a very eventful year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We didn't have a whole lot of private investigations like clients, because we were been so busy with events and public investigations and trying to get back. And but what, man, I don't even know where the hell to
Villisca
start.
and dude,
Villisca
that axe murder house. All right, so we went to the Villisca axe murder house. So first of all, we've got EVPs from that are beyond. So we were all downstairs in a group, walked in. Johnny Hauser's, sitting outside. We were talking to him for a few. Nobody else is in the house except us. So it's Ernie, me, Josh Hurd,
and Tori
in the house downstairs. And we're all standing there listening with our ears. We could hear a female talking upstairs.
That's what you listen with.
Yeah, I have two of them. So, and hello to that, whoever that is that says, hey guys, it just says Facebook user. Say it, tell me who you are, because you're coming through one of the streams. It doesn't show it. So hi to you, but we love you. Just tell us who you are. But needless to say, we could hear a female voice upstairs. That's where it started. We went upstairs with an EDI. We went upstairs with a camera. We have it all documented. One of the folks that was with us was actually filming. He did great. Love him to death. But got some really good. Oh, hey Jay, how you doing? So Villisca axe murder house was just bad to the bone. And then we went over to Malvern
Manor.
Malvern is, first of all, I got my butt kicked there, flat out.
It was fun because this is like, everyone knows me knows how I am with research and stuff and reading about stuff. And, Villisca axe murder house was one of my, as gruesome as it was and heartbreaking as it was one of my favorite stories growing up that I read about. Now, up until about, I don't know, just a few weeks prior to heading out to Iowa for the Paranormal Relief Project, Tori, I believe it was Tori or Josh. I think it was Tori hit me up and said, "Hey, we have a bonus planned. Since you guys are going to be here, we're going down and see Johnny, and we're going to check out the Villisca house."
Okay.
But the funny thing is, as much as I read about it and knew the story and saw all the shows on TV about the incident there, I had no clue, Dave, that it was active with paranormal activity.
Wow.
And this was up until just a few weeks prior to us heading out there. So we arrived in town on Thursday. The relief project wasn't until Saturday. So we went down and hooked up with Johnny and went to the Villisca house on Friday. And it was so cool, man, because I mean, I've known that story since I can remember, you know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
just, you know, remember when we were all standing outside, we were waiting for Johnny to show up.
Yep.
And they were just standing there staring at it, man. It was like kind of like when you go to a concert or you go somewhere and you kind of get starstruck. You're like, oh, wow. And that's exactly the feeling standing outside that house. And when we went in, it was just
That's off the chain.
mind blowing.
Oh, absolutely. And but Malvern, that hallway.
That Malvern has a life of its own.
Absolutely.
A life
All
of
right,
its
so
own.
there's one hallway that there was 2 gentlemen that we were told about. We got a lot of activity there. But downstairs, Ernie pretty much turned me into Aaron, which, Dave, can you go down to that door way down there in the dark, dark, dark hallway that we can't see crap down that hallway and go knock on the door and see if the shadow man wants to come out? Sure, Ernie. So I'm literally feeling the wall, trying to get down there. And I know that there's 2 open doorways and then finally the third door. All right, so I'm feeling through open doorway. And just as I pass through, it literally feels like somebody just shoves me in the back. I go tripping. Apparently, there's something on the ground that makes noise. I trip over that. It starts making noise. Scares the ever-loving yak out of me. I think I made noises only dogs could hear. And my reaction is, turn around. I'm going to go outside and breathe. So, of course, Josh and
the funny part was Dave, because you have to come back this way up the hallway, and then Dave would have had to make a right to head out.
Mm-hmm.
And as he's rounding that corner, around comes Josh filming for his documentary with Richard Estep with him, and Dave just runs by him.
And he's like, "Everything okay?" Yep. And kept on going.
Josh was like, "Everything okay?"
And then they look. I hear him behind me, and they say to Ernie, "What just happened?" And he goes, "Something just scared the ever-loving out of Dave." And then I heard the equipment going off.
When you got put into the wall. Now, this is the best way I can explain it. Like if you're watching a football game, and say the quarterback gets hit from the back, and his back
I felt it hit me.
I could see your shadow kind of going down the hallway. And this is how I knew something pushed you. Not only did I see the dip in your lower back, you yelled before you kicked that ball that beeps and lights
whatever
up.
the hell, it made noise.
And it was a split second. Like as I saw your back fold, I heard you yell, and then all of a sudden that ball lit up.
And I yelled again, "Oh!"
Which made me realize that you didn't trip over the ball, that you were pushed into it because you had yelled just prior to your foot hitting it.
And when I tripped over it, so I felt the hit, and I'm like, "Oh God!" And then I hit something with my feet. I'm like, "Ah!" And at that point, the fear just was oozing out of me.
The thing was, when Dave went outside to get some air
and cry,
of course, I had to go down and check it out. Now, the Shadow Man's room, they had a padlock on it from the outside, so it's
cracked open just about that much.
Cracked about that much. So I was like this, looking in the crack in the door, and Josh was over my left shoulder filming, and you could hear footsteps coming because I was literally knocking on the door. What? Which one am I looking at?
Right here. It's excited, just like 2 little kids. Absolutely.
So I'm looking in and I hear these footsteps coming.
Okay.
So I kind of I gave Josh like that eye, and he gave it back and I was like, "You hear this, right?" And I was like, "You are filming, right?" Well, Dave, let me tell you, man, as the footsteps got closer to the door, I couldn't see anything.
Okay.
But you heard somebody going,
Yes.
breathing. You know what I mean? And
and that's Ruby that said that.
Ruby.
Yeah, say hi, Ruby.
For those that don't know, Ruby is my wife who is home right now.
Yes, she's amazing. First of all, I don't know how this man is like not 900 pounds the way this woman cooks. If she wasn't married, I'd be just for the food.
I have a fast metabolism, I guess. I don't know, or else I don't know, man. But yeah, she does.
Yeah, she's an amazing cook.
She's lining up the menu for Christmas Eve. Woo!
So
she's home with Stewie.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. I keep going over to his house. Stewie loves me to death, and to show it, he pees on my shoe.
And that's funny. Ruby and I were talking about that the other day. Is Stewie never has accidents in the house or nothing. I mean, he's such a good dog. And twice now, Dave's come over and Stewie pees on him. I don't know why. And there's other people that come in the house that have dogs that I know Stewie gets their scent. But
well, I get a call from him at like 3 a.m. in the morning, something like that. Dave, it's an emergency. I'm stuck on shift. Stewie's dying. I need your help. Ruby can't lift him. Get over there.
He's
the only supervisor on shift.
I'm like, leave. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'm going. So I jump in my car. Got to help my best friend out. I'm there. Ruby's outside on the porch. When I get there, I pull up. I'm fully ready to go in, scoop this dog up, get him to an emergency vet.
Stewie had other ideas.
Ruby opens the door, and all I see is fangs like this coming airborne out of the door at me, like literally testicle high. Hi, Lorraine. How you doing, honey? So the dog comes, literally airborne at me like this. I had enough time just to turn with my knee, and I clipped him pretty much with, and he went sliding. He turns around, and he's like, I'm coming at you. And he comes, and Ruby's like, Stewie, no, grabs him. Stewie's like, oh, okay, I know him. So they go inside, and so I'm like, is he okay? I'm not even inside at this point. And Ruby's like, come on in, Dave. I'm like, no, we're good. She's like, you'll never come back if you don't come back in now. I'm like, no, we're good. She's like, Dave, get in here. Yes, ma'am. So I get in there. I go over to his table away from where she's handling. And I'm like, is he okay? Do we need to go to the vet? She's like, no, he's acting great now. He walks over to me like, I'm so sorry. And pees on me.
But the funny thing is, Stewie's not a big dog.
No.
He's only about 45 pounds. I mean, he is very strong. He's a very solid dog, but he's a little guy. But he thinks he's a badass.
Oh, he is a bad dog.
You know
when you see teeth like this coming at you through a door, I'm telling you what. This dog was like literally 3 feet off the ground, airborne like Super Dog coming at me. I had time literally just to get my knee up and nope. No, he was literally testicle high, if you know what I mean. I'm like, so, whoo. Anyway, how you doing, baby? Let's see. He has claimed to me. Absolutely. There's I can't say, but yeah, I'm his.
He made Dave his.
Yep, exactly.
Big.
he used the B word, not me. So this is a G-rated show, not a B-rated show.
So now that we have Malvern Manor in Iowa, and that was fun because for those that know me personally, know I have 101 phobias. Ask my wife.
He had never been on a flight.
I've never been on an airplane before,
and they actually gave him, the stewardess and pilot gave him pilot wings. They're like, you've never been on here.
Now, the screwed up part was we had to change flights in Chicago. So I get off the plane and I'm walking through the airport and I hear somebody behind me talking to me. And I look over and it's the stewardess. And she's following me. And like, you've never been on a plane?
No.
So I'm like, good Lord.
No.
So we get to, unfortunately, we were both going to the coffee stand, I guess.
Yep.
Well, guess who else is at the coffee stand?
The pilot.
So he turns around. He goes, "Are you the one that never flew?" And I'm like, "What?" So now it's like it's kind of like a small crowd.
Interrogating him.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Come on now." But I was scared. The scariest part is when the plane made its first hard turn, and we started going like this.
And he's like.
And I kind of, in my brain, I started praying, and I was like,
I'm hearing like Latin, speaking in tongues.
I'm like, this is where it ends. This is where I'm going to die going like this, falling over on Dave.
You're a big boy now, right? Well, the messed up part is the first flight we were on was so cramped. There was not enough room literally to change your mind in there.
Yeah, it was.
The other 3 flights we had to take, the second one and then the 2 coming back, were okay. But this one, I mean, literally, if I sneezed, I would be moving from one side of Ernie to the other just in the sneeze. So, but yeah, so Ernie did really well. I'm very proud of him. He did really great. So, but we got there, we got back. We had a little bit of problem with the rental car at the getting the rental car and returning the rental car, but it all worked out. And luckily, you know, we didn't get charged for a stolen car.
The hotel was nice. And
oh yeah, and the food out there. Oh my God,
it was so cheap. We where we stayed at, we stayed right. Like if you come out of the parking lot, we were on the Iowa Nebraska line.
Yeah, right there.
I could put a foot in each state,
pretty much. Yeah.
But in our parking lot, we had, what was it? Taco Bell.
Yep.
Jimmy John's.
Yep.
Cracker Barrel.
Yep. Red Lobster.
And then Walmart.
Then the other one. The other what was the other one? Not Jimmy Dean. The was it Cracker Barrel? I'm sorry, Cracker Barrel. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and literally, I mean, here when we go to Red Lobster, I fully expect to spend somewhere between $75 and $100 for 2 people. I expect that. Mm-hmm. Over there, we ate for $25 and we walked out of there full.
Yeah,
out of Red Lobster,
for 2 of us. And then when we the day of the Paranormal Relief Project, we were all at Malvern. It was Dave and I and Tori and Josh and Richard Estep and his friend that was with him, and then the couple from one of the Dakotas, North Dakota or South Dakota. I can't remember which Dakota.
Yep.
But we all went to the local, like
right there,
mom and pop restaurant, ice cream parlor.
Yep.
And they picked up the bill. Now for all those people,
there was 8 people there.
Right. He spent, I think, $46.
$46 or $48, including tip.
Yeah. So
for 8 people,
and the food was very good.
Oh yeah,
the food was very good. I had to break my rule and top it off with ice cream.
Oh yeah. It was good.
So now that we made it through the Malvern Manor and Villisca Axe Murder House and are back home, what else is memorable?
Oh, the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. I almost died. I stay at the Wyndham all the time, but night 2 that I was there, apparently I woke up and I was smelling gas. And I'm like, I'm smelling gas. I'm thinking, is it me? Is it? Well, I'm like trying, and I have this massive headache. I'm up, and I thought maybe I was just having like a stroke or something. You know, I kept smelling gas. So finally, at like 6 o'clock in the morning, I wandered out, and I'm like, I don't mean to be rude. I am smelling gas in my room. Oh yeah, we had a gas leak. I'm like right above the kitchen. Apparently, it went from like 1 a.m. to like 5 a.m. and they didn't bother telling me. And apparently, several people reported it. And they went, hey, God, there's gas leak. You may want to roll.
Yeah, I was on, what floor were you on?
I was on the 2nd floor, right above the kitchen.
I think I was on the 5th floor this year. If my memory serves me correct, I was in room 522, I believe.
Something like that.
Man.
Yeah, but, yeah, so the next morning, they gave me a complimentary breakfast, but I'm like, yeah, next time, y'all, all right, Wyndham in Gettysburg, if there is a gas leak and the people above it, hey, dude, can we give you a comp room maybe on the 9th floor, even though we only have 6 floors? Well, move that way.
But the bash was great.
Bash was great.
They raised a lot of money.
I loved playing hide and seek for money. I got a wild bug up my butt. We were in a group text with all the people of the bash, and I finally said, $20 to the first person who finds me, I'm hiding. All I did was go out to the parking lot, and Callie, her friend
from SOS
Team Paranormal,
yeah.
I had a whole bunch of people running around the house, and all I'm doing is literally standing in the parking lot, and I'm doing this. Well, Callie hadn't seen me for a couple years due to COVID and all that. She comes out to, it sounds so dirty. She comes out and looks at me like, huh? And I'm sitting here texting on my phone. I look up and go, I didn't move. I didn't run, nothing. Then I kind of went and ran.
Now, while Dave's playing hide and seek, Ernie was working the table and selling merchandise and loading and unloading equipment and stuff like that. But as long as Dave was playing hide and seek and having fun.
We had fun. By the time I was done, I had like 30 people looking.
Well, I told him because I seen what was going on, and Callie and man, I can't remember her friend's name. They said, yeah, Dave's giving us $20 if we find him or whatever. I was like, I got a better deal. I was like, I'll give you $40 if you all just leave him wherever the hell he is and don't find him and let him stay there. But
yeah, we had fun.
And the food, man, I love that hotel.
Oh my God, that food was good.
I love that restaurant there at the hotel.
I got to sit in the dunk booth and get dunked, earn money for people.
Yeah,
that was
raised
fun.
a lot of money.
So I had a lot of fun there.
It was hot out there too.
It was like really hot.
And besides the money that the bash raised for Wounded Warriors, just the amount of people, man. It was funny because like it opened up on Friday and you wouldn't expect Friday, it starts at 12 noon on a Friday. People are at work, whatever.
Right.
But Friday was just packed. Saturday was good. And then Sunday was absolutely crazy. And
it was insane.
And Sunday was like a half day, but it was one for the record books. It each year we always say, man, it can't get no better, and each year it does. And
absolutely.
For those that haven't heard, the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash 2022 will be on August 19, 20, and 21. Those that are participating, Pam and Steve had put the link up on the Battlefield Bash Facebook page, or you can go on Paranormal Inc. page. Just scroll through. I reposted it somewhere in there.
I want to cut in for just a second, and I want to let you know. All right, if you notice right now, I have a link up to a GoFundMe page.
Yeah,
our friend Jeff Leeper is battling cancer.
Right.
So, and this is all serious, guys. You know me; I'm usually a cut up, but he's battling cancer. So if you go to https://GoFundMe.com. GoFund.me/033 E as in Edward, F as in Frank, 69 E as in Edward. This is a link. His car is broken down, which means he cannot transport himself to and from a doctor. He can't transport himself to and from work, and he doesn't have the money because he's putting it all through
the good part is Jeff called me, I guess, a couple nights, 4 or 5 nights ago, and I spoke to him while I was on my way down the road. And Jeff's in good spirits. He's doing well. He does have the cancer, but the doctor gave him, some news on the positive side.
Good.
So those of you that know Jeff Leeper, he's a great guy.
Awesome guy. Very awesome.
Very kind man, very spiritual. He's been in the paranormal for over 40 years. He's an exorcist and a demonologist, and he's helped countless
free of charge
people and families.
Yes.
And, if you are in the field or trying to get into the field, he's the man you want to know. He's
Absolutely.
All around great guy. We love Jeff. He comes to a lot of our events. He's a guest speaker at a lot of our events, and we were just with him not long ago. So please,
the VFW,
you can help
donate. You guys get on there and look, I made a donation, and I challenge you, beat my donation, please. I challenge you.
Yeah.
So,
but we will, now that, because I had known Jeff called me when we were at the Roundhouse event and told me, but it wasn't public yet. So Dave and I didn't say anything to anybody, but now that it's out there, I'll keep everybody that's not in touch with Jeff on a regular basis like we are. I'll let everybody keep everybody updated.
Yeah, and if you could share this, guys, please share it around. Basically help him out. We're just trying to get his car fixed so he can make his own doctor's appointments. Something to help a guy out. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
So with that said, what else you got? What was your favorite parts of 2021?
It's hard to say, man. Everything was so great. Every event we were in, every
Well, that roundhouse in October, that was a hell of an event.
every public investigation we hosted.
What about this young lady right here?
Yeah. Those of you that seen the prior shows or whatever, you know that we acquired Sandra, who was housed in Waverly Hills in 1948. Dave and I now have possession of her. I don't like to say.
We're not going to talk about that, Loren. We'll talk. We might talk about that. We might. I haven't figured that out yet.
What'd she say?
Your book.
Oh,
you need glasses, dude.
I do wear glasses. Yeah, I mean, I was happy. I mean, after 2.5 years of work, I finally got published back on August 3rd, which is Ava's birthday. Isn't it funny? My book gets published on Ava's birthday.
Who's Ava? Who's Ava?
Who's Ava?
Yeah, they don't know.
Oh.
I do.
Oh, Ava's my granddaughter who, if you saw the photos from Jason's Woods, she was the one who was scared to death.
That was fun.
I know we're jumping from one thing to the other. Look.
Lisa says your book is a must read.
Oh, who said that?
Lisa.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. My friend at work, my friend Douglas, he's a police dispatcher, good young guy, great guy, man, real great guy. And you know, he was talking about they were getting together and doing some haunted houses during Halloween, you know, the haunted attractions. So, you know, I made him hip to Jason's Woods, which is the original, you know, one that has the 5 different attractions, all that. So I told him, I said, hey, man, let's try to go before the season ends. Well, it worked out because they stayed open after Halloween. So we made it the very last night that Jason's Woods was open. Yep. So it was me, Dave, Grace, Ava, and Douglas. That was it, right?
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah.
And Grace's friend, Maddie.
Oh, Maddie. I'm sorry. Maddie was there. I'm sorry. Yep.
So we head up to Jason's Woods. Now, Douglas and Ava's with me. Dave, Maddie, and Grace are in Dave's car. Now, Ava has never been to, well, the funny thing, I come over here and I got Ava with me. Now, right here is a wall. So Ava's like, I said, do you want to see Sandra? And she's like, okay. So we come down the steps. Ava gets to this wall. And all she does, Dave, is peek around and she looks at Sandra and she goes, okay, that's close enough. So we're standing. We're riding up to the haunted house. And Doug and I are telling Ava, look, when we get there, there's going to be monsters and stuff outside. Don't act scared, because once you're on the hook, once they know you, they got you. They got you. And sure enough, the very first one to come there, she was scared, and it was like a swarm. They came out of everywhere and would not leave this poor child alone. And Dave and I, by the time we got through the first attraction,
he's in the front, I'm in the back, or I'm in the back.
By the time we got through the first attraction, I don't think she was scared anymore, because it kind of like wore off. Like, she was so scared that it just kind of like went away. And we had so much fun. Funny. But the funny part is, what the hell did she say? I brought Douglas back here because his car was here. So Ava lives right down the street. So I'm driving up the road and I was like, what's the matter? And she goes, I hope that doll don't come haunt me tonight.
Well, she has legit moved on her own 4 times. I keep saying he's messing with me, but the problem is he's not here when it moves. So the first day I called him up, I'm like, very funny. Ha ha.
He calls me up. Yeah, he calls me up or texts me or something. He's like, all right, you got me. You got me.
You're funny. Ha ha.
I didn't know what I did. I never in a million years dreamed it was the Sandra. So I call him up. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? And he goes, I don't know how you got in here or snuck down before you left.
She moved to where I do my computer work over on that.
Oh, I thought it was this.
No. First time she moved over there.
But anyway, Dave's house is like Fort Knox. You're not going to get in here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Dave, when we finished our episode, I went upstairs and went into the bathroom.
I thought when I moved,
came out of the bathroom.
I thought he came back down and moved her.
I came out of the bathroom and you walked me out the front door, so I couldn't have come back down here.
I thought maybe like as I was moving, and I thought maybe somewhere along the line you might have like palmed it behind you and stuff. I don't know how you did. I legit thought you had moved her, and I'm like, dude, that was not funny. Well, ha ha, very funny.
Here was the thing, and this is so funny. I wish my friend Kim was watching because she was at the investigation. But anyhow, Dave and I are at the Roundhouse event. We're completely wiped out, man. We're tired.
We're booted.
So our friend Rob Murphy from Elite Paranormal, he was in the event as well.
But he's running the investigation at night.
He was like, Rob, can you please
cover this? We're heading back. We're done. We're beat.
So Rob's leading the investigation.
Now, we packed up all our gear and hid it, except this young lady, we actually packed up into the office, which was locked.
Yeah,
because we didn't want her disappearing.
What we did was we covered up. I put some of our merchandise under the table, and most of the vendors, we just cover our tables with a blanket. But I put Sandra away because I don't want nobody touching her or messing with her. So Dave and I are back in our rooms, called it a night early, and Rob Murphy's leading the investigation.
Right. Well, the next day I get there, and of course, the people who actually run the Roundhouse come running up to me. Dave, did you hear? Hear what? You didn't hear what happened last night?
So Mike's wife, Spring, she's in the office doing paperwork. So she's sitting there like this doing paperwork. She hears this noise coming from the closet. Okay?
Like that.
Now, Spring's unaware that I put Sandra in there. The only person that knows is Mike. Rob didn't even know.
Yeah.
So she calls Mike on the radio, and she's like, Mike, I got some strange noise. She was getting a little spooked because they were investigating the Roundhouse, and they're fairly new to this. So she calls Mike over, and he's like, I don't hear nothing or what. So eventually Mike sits down and starts doing paperwork at his desk. Well, the rapping noise starts again. Mm-hmm. So he's like, he stops. And
they're both like,
well, eventually it stops. They leave it alone. It happens again. So they call Rob. So Rob comes over, and he's got some of the group with him. They wait outside. So Rob comes in and goes into he opens the closet, sees Sandra, and was like, oh, shoot.
So he gets
in, he doesn't tell them
what he's doing.
Right.
He starts going, is this the sound you heard? No. Is this the sound you heard? No. Is this the sound you heard? Yes! It's Sandra. We had gotten a brand new case.
Yeah.
We have two cases. The one right here you see behind me. And then there's a travel case we have that we set her up in. That was brand new. We literally opened the box there at the Roundhouse
and put it together.
It is not salted, not at all. We put a little label on it saying, here's the history behind it, and we sealed it in. So he went in and started jiggling the lid, and they're like, yes, that's what we heard.
Well, he opens the door and shows them what
it is and what it is.
Yeah.
And they're like,
and the funny thing, Rob is a great investigator. And he did everything in his power to make it naturally happen. Mm-hmm. He even went as far as standing in the closet, jumping up and down. And Spring told him, you're wasting your time because even though that's a carpet there, mm-hmm. it's a concrete floor.
So they actually started doing an investigation there on her. So, and Rob comes in the next morning. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't ask. But we're like, dude, no, we love you. You're family.
Yeah.
So what did you get? So he actually has they got EVPs on her. They got a child laughing. They've got full on EVPs.
Yeah. So hey, I mean, Sandra was happy, man. She's got a home where she's being treated right.
Absolutely.
And
well,
now
here's the thing. That brand new case we got. Now we couldn't figure it out because the next day she's back on her table. I'm like, what is that in the bottom?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my. And so we're looking. Now, remember, this is a sealed top and bottom. So it's a 4-side case that snaps together, and you have a lid that comes on the top and a lid that goes on the bottom. And there's a stand she's on right now, and she's standing there. There's nothing else. There's lint and dust all inside the case, along the bottom, like everywhere. So we take her out. We're like lifting her over. Maybe there's something in her little pocket. None. I cannot tell you how this lint or dust got in there. Not a clue. But it's there. So we cleaned it out and see if it happens again. But
yeah, it was weird.
I love corroborating evidence. I love it.
Sealed in there.
Yep, fully sealed.
But yeah, the Roundhouse event was very good. A lot of fun.
That was a blast.
They had it catered, the food.
Oh, that Halloween party was off the chain.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I hear, will David Seiler please report to the bandstand? Now I'm dressed as the Grim Reaper, scaring the yell out of everybody, having a blast. I'm like, they're like, is Dave Seiler even here? And I'm like, with my claws, hey. So everybody's pushing me, okay. And all of a sudden they kick into happy birthday. Someone set me up knowing it was my birthday the following week. Not only got them to sing happy birthday, but we did a cake there in front of everybody. I was like, oh my God, I feel loved.
Lori Johnson, and everyone knows Lori. Lori and Spring got the cake for me, and we had it all planned out. And
that was cool.
Honestly, because I had no plans of going to the Halloween dance that night. I just tired. I was like, I'm gonna go to the room because we're there for the event, but then they had a Halloween party. So the reason I went to the Halloween party was for the cake. Cake was good too.
Oh yeah, cake was real good, and
cake was good.
Made several new friends there. That was cool too. So that was good. And that night we had a real good time with what happened at the hotel.
Oh yeah.
So I'm listening. Also, there's an argument right below my window.
Yeah.
And then apparently a fight broke out at the hotel, and it spilled onto his car. I'm like, dude, you may want to check your car hood.
I was here. I was watching it from the window, and then I'm like, so I'm laying in bed watching TV, and then he called or texted me, and he's like, man, go check your car because they landed on your car. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to aggravate myself.
Yeah, just
when I get up in the morning to go back to the event, fortunately my car survived.
No dents, no dings, but
without any damage.
Yeah, apparently the police were involved, and so that was fun.
Now let me tell you this much. Back to the flying thing again. Next time we're flying somewhere, no videos and jokes and because when Tori contacted me about being a co-organizer, I was like, yeah, sure. It was like 13 months ahead. So, Dave and I were like, Dave's like, we're going to have to fly out there. I'm like, yeah. I was like, it's so far away. I'm not going to stress out about it. So then Dave contacts me and goes, everything's done. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I've got all the
all
tickets,
the arrangements.
Everything. I paid for everything.
So then the reality set in that I got to get on a plane.
I've got to get on a plane. So what do I do? I start sending him videos of airplanes with like landing gear falling off or like burning engines or like, sliding across the runway or like, boom, just regular. Almost weekly, sending him on a week.
It was.
He's like, "You're not effing funny." I'm like, "Yeah, I am." I'm like, "Look, I'll give you the window seat. Just look out, watch what happens. Ignore any bird that hits the plane."
Hey, another great investigation we had.
Oh yeah, DeVille. Oh my God! All right, guys, no BS. DeVille Inc. First of all, does awesome ink. I'll give you that. All right, he does really, really good ink. But his shop is haunted. No joke. We have a video up on our YouTube channel.
Tony's shop is one of the places that the moment you walk in till the moment you leave, it is nonstop. And Dave and I investigated it personally. Mm-hmm. Friday the 13th last year. Or 2
I got a tattoo from that.
Whatever. So I was talking with Tony, and we came up with the idea that we're going to start hosting public events or public investigations there. So a few months ago, we hosted our first public investigation there, and it was downright crazy.
And we have a video flat out.
That was the first one that your boss came to.
Yeah, my boss Tony Hatson Georgeless. We put a circle down that's a yes/no circle, and we cross pencils. Now we got this. We actually got this experiment from Pam and Steve's original place that they were at. And we got a good video on that. But this one, We put it down on the floor. Now it's a concrete floor. All right. And so Tony's DeVille's here. His wife is here. I'm back over here. Ernie's over here. And we're saying, okay, if you're here, can you move that pencil? Make it move. Sure enough, it took a couple seconds, but we were like, oh my God, everybody's on the video. It's moving. And so it stops. And Tony DeVille says, can you make it move again? And it moves again. It's just no BS there.
Yeah.
So good place to be. So
that was a fun night.
Yeah. And we had a little fun last night too.
Yeah. We, Dave and I had investigated 2 or 3 times at the Heritage Museum, but last night we hosted our first public investigation there.
That was Mike King's first public investigation with the group. Remember he was with us the first time we went?
Yeah. The very first time we investigated it is the first time Mike investigated with us.
And his wife Dream was there, and it actually, we picked up via the spirit box things that got very, very personal to her, which freaked her out. And Ernie actually went outside to talk to her and saying, hey, look, this can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But
last night was a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of, we tried Dave and I, we split into 2 groups.
2 groups of 7.
Because we kept it very small.
Yep,
last
14
night.
people total.
So Dave had 7, I had 7. And what we did was they have back in the day, they have holding cells in there. Like when you
men and women,
yeah.
Just 3 for the men, 1 for the women.
So what I did with my group was I took each guest down to the cell, put them in the cell, shut the door, and they had a recorder. And I would walk out and leave them, and it's a long hallway that goes to the cell. We were like 2 rooms over the rest of my group. And we would leave them in the cell for like 3 to 5 minutes. And I told them, you can ask questions. You can just sit there, do whatever you want. And out of the 6 people, let's see, 3, 4, 5. No, I had 5 people. Out of the 5 people that I had in my group, 4 out of the 5 captured something on their recorder.
Absolutely. And in the same token, my group, I took my boss and our CFO. He brought his 2 daughters, who are one's 11 and one's 9, I think, or something.
No, they were older.
No, one the oldest one was 11. He said,
"No, man,
that's what he told." Anyway,
that kid looked like she's about 18.
No, she's
really?
11. That's what he said.
Wow.
So anyway, they came and I set her down into the cell first. And as she sat down, I was standing outside the cell. And I said, "Just listen, you'll hear tapping." Sure enough, ding, 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 or like on the bars. And I'm my hands are like this the whole time. And she's like, "You're not doing that." I'm like, "No, I'm not." She's like, "Oh my God." So she scurries out, sends her sister down. Her sister sets, ding, 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 ding. And I'm the whole time I'm doing this. And his group got the exact same thing. So we actually corroborated a lot of the evidence there. And then what happened with the detective? Tell them about that.
Oh,
the spirits didn't like her, anybody touching her.
There was a female guest there, and we were in a big room, and we had several K2s and another meter set up. And our friend Jay, he brought a K2 meter. He had just bought it. He wanted to try it out. So he kept getting hits on his K2. Now, we narrowed it down. I was following this energy, okay? And it was moving throughout the room. Okay. Now, granted, our baseline sweep was nothing. It was
we got nothing on the baseline.
But it was like a cloud, and you could just follow the energy. So it was hovering around Sherry, who was one of the guests. And I said something, I don't know, something about Sherry. Could you make this meter light up? So what I did was I went like this just to nudge her, like move that way.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I went like and touched her, all the meters went off.
Yep.
And I was like, whoa. So I backed away. And I said something about, do you want her not to be touched or whatever? It beeped again. So I'm like, all right, now we got something to try to work with.
Yep.
So we're still I'm still tracking this ball of energy. And I said, I'm getting ready to touch Sherry if you don't like or whatever. And her arm was out. and I just took my finger and I went like this. As soon as I touched my fingertip on her arm, all the meters went off. But the funny part was, I get the rambling talking.
Yeah.
We're in the dark. I did not realize she was beside me. So I'm explaining something, and my hands are up like this. And as I turned to talk to Jay, my hand brushed her shoulder. And as soon as my hand brushed, everything went off. And then you had
later on in the night, first of all, he's got a FLIR camera on me, and you can see a cold spot. It looks like a person. He has a picture of it.
Dave's sitting on a chair, and there was an empty chair next to him.
To my left.
And he was saying he felt something or whatever by the
chair. I had my hand out. I'm like, you can feel this like just cold spot right here. I was like, can you hold my hand?
I put my FLIR camera on him, and it actually looks
like
a person sitting in the chair next to Dave. Now, if it was a person or if it was a person had been sitting there with the FLIR camera, it would register hot.
Right.
It was cold, and you can actually see the two legs.
Yep.
Well, yeah. So
it's a really cool picture. He's going to post it in Paranormal Inc. It really is cool. But what happened was I had several of the guests that were with us come over and feel this cold. They could feel the cold spot right above my hand. And finally, Sherry came over. Now, put your hand up, Ernie. I had my hand up a little bit higher. I had my hand like this, and I said, feel the cold energy. And we're like this. I said, all right, I'm going to touch your hand. Let's see what happens. And as soon as I went like that, literally the whole room in 1, 2, 3 spots in the room, all the equipment went off. Now, while we're still standing there, I looked down and you could see there's like this reflective board behind Ernie over here. And you could see like a head moving it. Oh, there we go. There was some movement in the firefighter shower room. I love that. But you could actually see somebody moving. And I'm like, Ernie, is there somebody behind you right now? And he's like, no. I'm like, dude, there's somebody moving behind you. So he's looking. And I'm like, is there like a doorway there? And he's like, yeah. Well, he's leaning. His hand is like this, leaning on a wall. And all of a sudden, you could see somebody do this and go like this to him. And I'm like, dude, there's somebody there. There's somebody there. And he goes, somebody's touching my face. And I'm like, John was sitting next to me at that point. And I'm like, John, do you see what I'm saying? He's like, yeah. It looked like somebody reached under his arm and started going like this.
But they didn't tell me that. They just said it was something behind me. But I actually felt like 3 fingertips going
just
like
going
this
like that
under my chin.
And you could see it, which was really cool. And then I'm like, can you make one of these equipment go up? And you could actually see it move along the wall, and it hit my REM pod hard.
Yeah, that's right.
And it just went beep. I'm like, I said it's going along the wall right now as I said it.
Now, that same room, we were having good responses with the REM pod.
Absolutely.
Because at one point, if you remember, and what I meant to say was make it beep or whatever, but I said, can you make it light up? And actually, the lights on the REM pod lit up without the sound.
Without the sound.
Yeah.
Yep. That place, and then K2 is hitting left and right. Even the schoolroom there was just, we were getting some great responses. So if you guys ever want to have a great investigation, it's $30 a head, minimum 6 people. But we'll probably have another one next year sometime. But
yeah, we're definitely gonna go back there. I got to talk to Tony when things calm down. We're gonna get another public investigation at DeVille Inc. That one's fun because it's small and it's just so active.
Intimate. Man. It's an intimate setting.
Yeah, and it's so active.
Yeah.
And to help confirm that was your boss, Tony.
Yeah.
Who was very skeptical.
Tony had never, my boss, Tony Hatzengeorgilis, had never been to a paranormal investigation before. And he came in kind of skeptical, which I was like, great, be skeptical. Look, one of the things they did was they went in the back room and they made this password. So only Ernie and Tony knew it. So they come out and we have a spirit box running and they're like, okay, we just made up a password. Can you tell us the password? And literally it just said it out loud. And they both went.
And I had it written down.
And he just opened it up. And he's like, can you say it again? And it just like it was reading a paper.
In a different voice. The first it was a female said it. Then the second was a male.
Lisa, absolutely. Absolutely. I was going up the steps with Grace right behind me, and I had to stop by where the little water fountain was. I saw somebody at the top of the steps as I was coming in. I stopped. I'm like, somebody's up there. And Grace took her flashlight, and it wasn't there. Absolutely.
Now, the thing with the Heritage Museum, we had a small group, and everyone was pretty still.
Mm-hmm.
there was so much movement you could hear in
You
there.
could hear it.
Like when we were upstairs where the table is, I was standing not far from the doorway, and I heard someone in the hallway, and my head whipped, and Sherry, our guest Sherry, she said, I heard that too. And I said, all right, let's walk down and see if someone came up the back steps. So we go down the hallway, make a right, make a left. The whole way, man, there's no one there. So as we're coming back and we're entering that main hallway, as soon as we go around to come down the main hallway, I hear somebody walking directly behind me, and it was pretty fun because at any given point, man, you just heard all this like ominous footsteps and knocking just all around you.
Well,
and the thing is now, remember this too, when we went in, we shut the boiler and all down. Everything was shut down. Everything.
Because if not, you get a lot of noise.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, though, like in the judge's chamber, all right, so there's a police side and a fire side. We're on the police side where they actually used to hold court in there. And I've gotten a lot of response from them, and I just call them the judge. I've done a couple of mock courts and had some fun. Well, I had me, Grace, Tony, my CFO, and his two daughters there, who they had never been on one. I'm like, let's see if we can get, Dave Costa got, oh, yes, I got called the B word in Spanish upstairs. Yeah, I'm like, what? I heard this word, and luckily Eli and his crew knew what it was. I'm like, what is this word? And I didn't know what it was. They're like, it means the B word. I'm like, But we're downstairs in
Stewie talking to you in Spanish.
Yeah, he's like, you're my B word. But yeah, so the girls had never experienced anything. So I said, hey, Judge, these young ladies had never experienced anything paranormal. Can you make, and I had the flashlights up, I had a REM pod and a K2, and I said, can you make the REM pod go off for you? Grab the antenna. And literally on cue, it did. And I said, okay, ladies. And I went like this. You see my hands. I want to make sure you know I'm not doing anything gimmicked or rigged, so you understand. I said, Judge, can you turn that off for me? It stops. I said, Judge, I have two flashlights up there. This one is a yes. This one is a no. Can you make the yes turn off for me? And I'm doing this to show. And it goes off. It just turns off. I'm like, okay, I got this one in the middle with the green light. It's called a K2. I know you've seen it before. Can you make it peak up? And as soon as it did, it peaked up. And they're like, oh my God. So then I kind of explained how the paranormal works. So,
but anyhow, we got, because we got to wrap it up. We have a lot coming up. Well, I say up, but a lot coming up in the paranormal world for 2022. But I just, before we end out the year, we're just so
thankful
and blessed
with
just how this past year went, considering, the circumstances of everything going, between, the virus and, skyrocketing crime rates nationwide. It's like the world's ending.
I got to give one thing we haven't done is we haven't given a shout out to Loren. She is an amazing person.
Yes, absolutely.
I love you, baby. And I know you're still there. You've come on a lot of our events with us, and you've really helped us out over the year. You helped him out with his book.
And I love the
big shout out, baby.
For those of you that haven't met Loren in person, the best way I can describe her is I think I found Dave's long lost sister, because they're just like
she's amazing. She is my girl.
Check out Loren's films, The Devil's Lettuce and Yield. I've watched both of them. Can't determine which one I like better because they're just different. She's the author of 7 books, and she's the one that helped me get mine out on time. Thank you so much.
Guys, stay tuned for a really good 2022. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
We have some really amazing guests going to be on the show, and we have a lot of great venues already set up.
Yeah, and thank you so much for staying with us all year through all this craziness and supporting Paranormal Inc. And everybody.
Thank you for your support. We love you.
And supporting everybody that puts on all these events and stuff. And
Absolutely.
Just a very quick rundown, just for a few events at the beginning of the year. For those of you that are local, or if you want to travel, on February 4th, I will be at the VFW Hall on Dorsey Road in Glen Burnie promoting my book. I'm going to be speaking a little bit about the book and the stories in it, and you can get your copy there. And I will also be speaking about the incident that led me to being on Haunted Hospital. So it's going to be fun. Also in February, on the 26th, we will be returning to the historic 1912 Hoover House, which is owned by Pam and Steve Berry, who throw the bash. And the very next night, on Step Into the Paranormal, we're going to have our dear friend Sherry. You all know her from the original Ghost Hunters.
Yes.
And currently on Ghost Nation. She'll be joining us February 27th.
And then we have a big event coming up in March.
In March, we're going to be headed to Rochester, New York, to see all our northern friends.
Yep, all the people that we're on WLFE DB Radio, and which is right here. You can see up on the banner. They're our hosting, principal station, and we're going up there for their Rochester Winter Parafest.
And it's going to be a hell of a lineup. Dave and I are going to be there. Tony DeVille from DeVille Inc. is going to be there. Mike King's going to be there. Chris Sanders, you've seen on a couple of the shows. He has Buddy the Haunted Doll. Dan Class from Hinsdale House will be there.
We're taking her with us.
Yes, I believe James Anito is going to be there.
James will be there.
And it's just
a lot of good names.
Keystone State Paranormal, who are now part of the WLFE DB Radio family, will be there. So it's going to be a big celebration. And man, am I looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
So we'll just leave it at March, because I know it's a lot.
We got a lot going on, though.
But look, guys, on a serious note, Dave and I are very blessed and very thankful to have everyone in our life, and the Paranormal family. We love you. Thank you for everything that you do for everybody, all the causes, all the fundraisers, the money. It's just a great thing to be a part of. And for those that are just getting into the paranormal, you pick the right hobby, the right field, or whatever.
Absolutely.
So,
you got to have some fun.
Have a safe and very blessed Christmas, New Year's,
Hanukkah, all that.
Please stay safe.
Yes,
and
be safe. With this new COVID variant out, be safe. God bless. Scroll back in the feed a little bit. Look at the GoFundMe for Jeff, please, and do what you can for him during this holiday season.
And stay tuned to Paranormal Inc. page for all the updates, upcoming events, and guests on the show, and all that good stuff. And Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and thank you for sticking it out with us through 2021. And we will see you a few days after New Year's on our next episode. And see you in 2022.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Peace out.
You've been listening to Step Into the Paranormal with Ernie Atwell and David Seiler. Thank you for listening, and listen in next week for another topic and more great guests right here on WLFE DB Radio Network.